from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what I'm saying is that these are things which are there in our human nature. Why should we go into deep analysis of the Mufassirin to try and find boundaries? Shouldn't our common sense be able to tell us that these are the boundaries? That you can't lie for deception or for personal gain. You can only lie to save lives.
In somehow we can accept this, there is no doubt, because naturally a person can react according to the need at the time. This is okay. But how you are going to satisfy someone who truly believes in Islam, that whether I did something wrong, act of kufr for example, act of shirk for example, or I am still Muslim.
Yes.
So this give him a chance that whatever you did under these circumstances, this is according to the teaching of Qur'an and Sunnah. Therefore, you did not exceed that limit. So that's why we can make ourselves satisfy what happened. And your first point about to combine between Shia school of thought and Sunnah school of thought in this respect, I think there is not big difference, because if we apply truly these conditions for Taqiyya as well as for Idtirar, so there will be not a big gap between us. But if we don't apply, this will be wrong for us as well as wrong for him, because many Shia scholar means those who are acceptable, not ordinary Shia. So they are saying with same conditions almost. Do not tamadi al al-ma'siyah, that you don't have to think to do anything which is sinful. But because of under these circumstances, you need to do, that's why you are doing. So Ahlul Sunnah Mufassirin as well, almost they are saying same thing. As I have mentioned, if under these circumstances he is starving, but he did not eat anything which is haram, so what they are saying to him, that they are saying this act of ma'siyat, because he did not take that rukhsat which given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Or hukm al-awwali wa thanawi.
Yeah.
When awwali is mahdud, you have thanawi as ilzami.
So in that sense, there will be very close.
Yes. Yes. So there is a scope.
Dr. Khurram Bashir.
Bismillah. I think the main problem is not details of Taqiyya and Ikrah. The main problem is undue emphasis of our Shia scholars on Taqiyya, making it 9/10 of the religion, making it that they have practiced it, they said it is faith of us and faith of our forefathers. Too much emphasis on it, and which resulted in, as our brother said here, exaggeration. Things has to be dealt in its own, and issue has to be framed. Necessity dictates exception, no doubt. In every religion, every scheme of law, and every rules and regulations, necessity dictates exception. But when you make an exception a general rule, here the problem is making exception a general rule and making it part of faith and part of your doctrine and part of your creed. Here's the problem lies. So we have to, because public, whether it's name of here, as our so many scholars, they twist the facts, General public, then they find it, if it has to be confined and very strictly confined, then I don't think there is a problem. So exaggeration brings out from the fact that it has been regarded one of the main articles of
I think, can I just speak? I think you're very right. It has been given undue emphasis that it does not deserve. And Imam Sadiq's hadith, salamullah alayhi, the time when these hadiths started coming of Taqiyya was a time of transition between Bani Umayyah and Bani Abbas. These hadiths are contextual and confined to that era in time. This is not the time for us to enact those hadiths. And even the fact that Taqiyya is discussed as one of the issues within the aqaid of Shia is negative. It does not warrant such a position within the aqidah to be discussed at such a prominent place. I would concur with your comments there.
I think what Sheikh Abdul Hadi have said and Sheikh Ayub have said nearly did the same approach.
No
Sheikh-
contradiction by
No contradiction. Sheikh said 5 plus 2 is 7. And Sheikh here he says 6 plus 1 is 7. So everyone he gave the answer is 7. As for what brothers have said, I wish to differ. Our imams never put so much emphasis on Taqiyya, but rather because there are 12 imams or 11 imams, so to speak, say those who say much about this, they say it in different time for different purposes. If you read extensively the Tariq al-Islami, you will see that there is no sect which has been severely persecuted more than the Shias. So they pass through different phases of persecution. And every Imam, he faces different type of persecution. And he has to tell his people different methodology of protecting themselves. So emphasis of Taqiyya, as Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam said, At-Taqiyya dini abai, when he said that, he referred to the Holy Prophet himself when he was in Mecca for 13 years, how he used to live. And everyone of the Sheikh, they know how Prophet of Allah lived until he was sanctioned somewhere in Shia Abi Talib, the land, with his few companions. They were not giving them food, clothing, they don't talk to them. They're completely sanctioned. So when they live in this situation, Imam Jafar Sadiq, he referred to that. Right? It was a deen of my forefathers. So when he referred to Imam Ali, the way how he lived with the Khawarij and Nahrawan and Jamal and Siffin and all of those wars, there are some ways Imam he used a lot of different approach. When he referred to Imam Hassan until he was forced to make agreement with Muawiyah, when he referred to Imam Hussein, when he referred to, so he said Abai. So that this is our emphasis, but not in the level of al-ghulu, because ghulu, which is extremism, it is to come out of haqq, sawab, I mean. But if you use ghulu, there are Shias who use Taqiyya in ghulu way, definitely. This is what Sheikh said here. Those we condemn them. But Taqiyya should be used in a specific, target, specific boundaries of law. We are here not because of Taqiyya. I have relatives who are Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. I love them. They know that I'm a Shia. We talk to them. We talk to each other. We pray. They pray behind me. I pray behind them. We love each other. My mom is a Sunni. He asked me, truly, you don't believe that Abu Bakr is the first Caliph? I don't believe Abu Bakr is the first Caliph, but I don't hate him. And that is true. So these are the things that we have to discuss to remove this ambiguous and mistrust between groups. Otherwise, we'll end up falling into those propaganda of enemies, and we will be the way how they like us to be. So I think that this institute have done much actually to remove this kind of ambiguity and kind of.
Again, just Dr. Khurram Bashir.
Two minor points.
Yeah.
One point to our teacher, very articulate, well presented. However, when you have given example of cutting the salaries of Imam, how it comes under Taqiyya. La hawla wa la quwwata, cutting the salaries of Imam. Because they were, so that is a persecution. That is a target.
Well, I think
Second,
in Abu Dhabi,
You are
they
next.
ask you, if you're a Muslim, what sect are you? Now, if they put Ja'fari, they don't get jobs. Now, this is the problem that comes to me all the time. When people ask me, can we practice Taqiyya on this or not? Now, these are people who, if they don't get jobs, they stop, or they have to migrate. So this is a form of social persecution, economic persecution. And because we don't experience it, we don't understand it. But you ask a person who has to feed his family that you are not going to get any salary to feed your family, that is as good as holding a gun at somebody's hand. So there are instances where we can consider what we consider, yes? It can be Idtirar. It can be Ikrah. Yes, it's the same thing. Either you shoot somebody or you starve them to death. Yes.
So
And-
cutting
and-
the salaries
Yes,
tantamount, I am not going to argue, tantamount to starvation. Anyway, the second point which I'd like to...
Sorry, if
No,
you
it's
don't
very
mind,
good. It's very good to come out.
let me
It's very
add
good.
just
It's
one
very
point.
good, yeah.
You know, in Arabic, and I'm sure we have scholars here, they say, جائع كلبك يتبعك. Don't kill, جائع كلبك. Starve your dog. The dog will follow you.
Yeah.
So-
So I understand. Your point.
Thank you very much.
I just try to highlight what I see.
Thank you.
Second point, the example given by our Sheikh here, our Sheikh by Abi Talib, that is how come Taqiyya? How you can put that example?
No, I
that
didn't
was
mean
Azim.
what I say, persecution of Muslims.
Yes,
Ali did
so
with
it comes
Rasulullah.
under Taqiyya.
Rasulullah himself.
By the way,
He
can I
practiced
complete?
Taqiyya
Can I
and Ikrah.
complete? Can I complete? By the way, Ahlul Sunnah, they don't accept that Imam Jafar Sadiq, he has said the narration you have just mentioned. To us, it is a fictitious. And Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah has said in Minhaj al-Sunnah Nabawiyya, I have his word if you like, but not very long. Because I said rather than going to Minhaj is very, very, very big book, as you must know. And he said, this is not right. This is a kizb ala Jafar Sadiq, أنه قال تقي ديني ودين آبائي وقد نزه الله أهل البيت عن ذلك ولم يحوجهم إليه وكانوا من أصدق الناس. أهل البيت كانوا أصدق الناس وأعظمهم إيمانا فدينهم تقوى لا تقية.
This is
Can I just ask?
Sorry.
You are the next. So that's right. When Sheikh has responded, then you are
أهل
the.
البيت كانوا تقوى. لا.
so sorry.
Yeah, yes, you.
Sorry, Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, I believe that if he say that,
He said,
most of
I
his
quoted
books, if he say that, let us be out of, if he say that, do you believe in everything that Ibn Taymiyyah has said?
I think we are going
No,
out.
no, 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 no.
I have just
I have
put
to
it
reply
in a particular
I have to reply your question.
I'm not,
Because the same
I'm not
time,
mukallad of Ibn Taymiyyah,
in
but what
the
I
same
said, I
book.
said.
In the same book.
Can I just come back to
Yes.
In the same book,
Sheikh Arif uses.
رجل مؤمن. What was the verse?
رجل مؤمن
يكتم إيمانه.
Yeah.
Allah is saying that, yes? About Allah, Allah is saying. So we can say to Ibn Taymiyyah, رجل مؤمن كان يكتم إيمانه. It's in the Quran. Amma Yasir did kitman of Iman.
Yeah.
So we can tell Ibn Taymiyyah, maybe we're talking about different meaning of Taqiyya. Yes? Maybe Ibn Taymiyyah is talking about the polemical sense of lying.
Yeah.
They're not lying. The Taqiyya means protection and well-being of the others as well. Yes? So maybe we can look at Taqiyya in different sort of
In the
instances.
context.
Ibn Taymiyyah is talking about what the Awamun Nas were practicing as Taqiyya, and Sayyid Jafar Sadiq Salamullah alayhi is free of that, and I agree with you. Yes?
Brother from this side, brother, your question. Come on.
Just coming back to the point of Taqiyya, I think Taqiyya, a lot of people have said it's a time and a place. It happens in a time and a place. And I'll give you examples where I come from, in Kashmir. I've just come back from Kashmir. And general consensus around the area where I live now is before it was if you kill 2 Shias, you go to Jannah. If you kill 1 Sayyid, you go to Jannah. Now, it's come to that extreme that they don't even let them leave their own janazah. This is what's happening around my area. Had it not been for Taqiyya, then Shiaism would not have spread in our area. In England, there's no Taqiyya. Nobody's doing that. Back in the 1970s, 1980s, early part of 60s, late 60s, people were doing it. My family done it. I done it. So we have had experience of that. Where I come from now, Taqiyya is practiced. There are Sayyids which actually live in mountains. They've been moved out. They're doing Sunni Mudarris and everything else, but when you talk to them inside, they are Shia. And that is happening in 2015. This year in Rabiul Awwal, a Milad was actually arranged while I was there. and the local community put in a report to the police saying that this milad cannot be done because it's been arranged by the Sayyids, Ali Rasul. So now it is against Ali Rasul. I cannot understand this. It's beyond my comprehension. But this is what's happening now in terms of Taqiyya. Now, in those parts of the world, people do Taqiyya, and it's right for them to do Taqiyya. If they were to come out and say that we are the followers of Ali Muhammad, they will get killed, khalas. And it's happened. The children, 5-year-old daughter's head has been cut off to punish the father because he is the follower of Ali Muhammad. That's happened in my village. So these things do happen, these things do occur, but with everything, it's a time and a place for everything. The Imam didn't say that, throughout your lifetime you're going to live 70 years and every single Shia is going to do Taqiyya. That's not the point. In England, nobody does Taqiyya. They are Julusi, they are Majalis, they are Muharram and everything else. And the Sunnah have the Eid Mulad, Nabi Julus, and whatever the case is. So, the society is a free society here. So everybody is allowed to practice. But I think the main point of all these discussions, and it should be made to the Awam al-Nas, to the general public, and the general public of Al-Sunnah not believing Taqiyya. But Imam said that it does exist. But the general public are not aware of these issues. But I think the main thing is acceptance. To accept that people believe in different ways, but all the goal is to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Jazakallah. There is another point relating to here in UK, for example, because we are here. First, let us start from UK. So in Europe and UK especially, there is nothing like that. So can we say Taqiyya will be prohibited here in UK?
As I mentioned one point of the fuqaha of Imamiyya, they said there are times when Taqiyya is not permissible. It's not allowed. It is haram.
Yeah, that is their theory.
Yeah.
But in practical, I am asking, can we do this like in UK? There is no need for Taqiyya. Should be banned, for example.
I think to generalize it that way, it will be a bit difficult because there are some places in UK, there are no-go area for Shias.
In UK?
In UK, yes. Like? In UK. There are some if I can say, masajid.
This is maybe individual basis, but
Yeah.
not as a Shia Sunni.
Not as a general thing, but yes, we have cases, for example, in London, in East London, in some mosques, yes, Shias have gone to pray there, and actually they have been stopped. You are not welcomed here. Not the Imam, Awam, the way my brother has mentioned it. The Imam may say, well, it's not me. Next time come to me. But they are individuals, so that's why I'm saying it's a bit tricky to say it's prohibited. So 99% I can say maybe yes. But there is...
Yes, let us 99% also.
Dr. Ali Raza, just a moment. Dr. Ali Raza is waiting from the behind.
I just wanted to say a couple of things and then maybe ask a question of Sheikh Abdul Hadi. So within the Usuli tradition, amongst the Shias, discussion of Taqiyya is absolutely subsumed within discussion of Idtirar. Okay? So all of the discussions and debates which are conducted by Sheikh Abdul Hadi is conducted in Shia Usuliyun's discourse. Okay, within the discussion of Idtirar and Dafa' al-Dharar. Okay, so Dafa' al-Dharar wajib, and at what point does the Taqiyya become wajib is if the dharar is fi'lan. Okay, yeah, so this is very, very important. Okay, and then of course the categories which the Shaykh has pointed to apply across the whole system of ahkam amongst the Imami school. The Shaykh I pointed to it, ahkam al-awwali and ahkam al-thani. Okay, ahkam al-Idtirari is applicable across the scope of Sharia. So in that case, to ask, can there be no ahkam al-Idtirari in the UK?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There has to be ahkam al-Idtirari in the UK. Because at some point, somebody is on a deathbed in a hospital and they can't stand for salat. Yeah? So if we are seeing Taqiyya, to me, Okay, rightly Taqiyya has to be subsumed within Idtirar. Okay, and it's nothing different. Why Tamimi is taken on this linguistic category of Taqiyya in the amongst the Shia is because of this political and historical situation of persecution. Okay, so this one particular aspect of Idtirar, which is a general feature of Sharia, okay, its roots have been pointed to by both speakers, has taken on greater emphasis because of these personal experiences, because of this historical attitude. Okay, but the discussion of limits is critical. I think Sheikh Abdul Hadi has picked it up. Okay, and in the internal debates amongst the Ahl Sunnah as well. And one of the phrases which is common on the tongues of the Usuliyun is "Ad-durura taqaddaru biqadriha." The question is, what is the qadr? Okay, is the qadr those things defined in the Qur'an, or are these things individual? Okay, and that's a genuine question now.
It is in the Quran within that ayah which mentioned غَيْرَ بَاغٍ وَلَا عَادٍ. So each an individual person should frame within that limit. So according to your explanation, if Idtirar is like this, so can we say there is at the moment to merge? So rather than using Taqiyya, why we don't use like Idtirar? Because this is agreed by Ahlul Sunnah and Ahlul Shia as well.
Yes, to me, Taqiyya is misdaq of Idtirar.
Yes.
It's not even a question of merging. Yeah?
Yes.
Taqiyya is a misdaq of Idtirar and nothing more. But Taqiyya is used specifically in the context of Shias being a minority because of this historical and political
But
background.
because
So I would completely agree with you.
some
If we
terminology
shift
is
the
actually,
discourse-
as you are agreeing, some terminologies has historical background. When you say Taqiyya, will come all these
Yes,
things.
package.
But when you say Idtirar, so rather you are starting newly this thing.
Yes, yes. So I would
You
agree a
agree?
shift of discourse is very useful, very useful. But in a context where all people are ready to overcome those causes of the
That's
The last.
yes. Yes, Sheikh Saeed.
It's
Then
basically,
Dr.
I mean,
Khurram.
very much related to what Sheikh Arif said, and then later on, you just pointed out that to basically, I mean, what we understood that taqiyya is allowed when there is, I mean, you want to escape persecution. You know, this is okay because you got, mashallah, very beautiful dalail from Quran and Hadith and historical background. We understood alhamdulillah. But is it allowed when there is no harm at all, no fear? And is it allowed to hide your aqaid? Masalan, according to Ahlul Sunnah, Shia, they hide their aqaid. When we say, what do you think about Khulafa Salasa? You would say, we love them, we respect them. But normally people think that you are, this is related to Sheikh Arif, when he started with that. We are sitting in this majlis now. And is that out of taqiyya, out of, understanding this this was the point Sheikh Arif made. So just adding with that, I mean, when you say that you love and respect Khulafa Salasa and all other ashab, it is out of taqiyya. What we think, because you see, taqiyya is allowed to hide your aqaid and beliefs as well, or not? In general public like me, and when you are dealing with me, not at the level of governments and all of that.
To save time, if I put my question as well, then they have
Yeah,
answered.
that's
To save time, when our brother was not here, there was little discussion. What is the practical we have come across? There's a consensus that Taqiyya has been abused from both sides. There is a consensus. Now, how to rectify the situation? One way, Sheikh Abdul Hadi said, there is no need of Taqiyya in UK, so ban it here. I think there was some resentment that. What you suggest, how to rectify the situation? Other suggestion was, interchange it in Idtirar. that may help, because starting anew, fresh. So all together we get all that historical baggage we have, we get rid of that. So in the UK, in today's situation, if you don't agree with that banning Taqiyya may be not acceptable, changing it to Idtirar, then what are the measures you suggest to rectify the situation?
So Sheikh Saeed's question first, then Dr.
Yeah, I think
Khurram.
these are two different questions.
Yeah,
here. Concerning the Sheikh's question here is about our aqaid. Can we do taqiyya in terms of aqaid? I think I said clearly there. There are cases where it is haram for you to do taqiyya, especially when you are going to mislead people or to make them not to understand. For example, in our case, the school of Ahlul Bayt. We live in UK, we want people to understand our beliefs. So if I do taqiyya, when will they be able to understand our beliefs? And I think, yes, the time has come for us now to come, if I can use the word openly, for those people who don't know much about tashayyu, for them to know. Because if I want to hide whatever I have, there are other scholars who are already outside there. They say, for example, I don't agree with Shias who live in UK because my beliefs are this when it comes, for example, to Khulafa ur-Rashidun. My brother has mentioned the point here. I don't agree that Abu Bakr, we call Sayyidina Abu Bakr, was a first Khalifa, but I don't hate him. And there are Shias who have this particular understanding. And there are those few who will come with whatever they want to say. They can say that. It's them. You talk to our scholars, and we take, as Sheikh Abdul Hadi said clearly, when you talk to ulama, you find a different view. When you talk to normal awam, you can't stop them to say whatever they want to say. But when it comes to aqaid, I think there is no way for me to hide my aqaid because you want to know my aqaid.
Okay.
If I hide it, when will you know about it? We may disagree, as introduction was there. We may agree to disagree, but it doesn't stop us to talk.
No, but I can understand till this point.
Yeah.
Maslan, if I say that Yasir al-Habib,
Yeah.
one of the very famous scholars, what the language he used about, especially about Khulafa Rashidun,
Sure.
would you condemn him or would you protect him? Like, I mean, would you say that? I mean,
Sure. I think the case of Yasir Habib is very clear. Not only one leader of the school of Ahlul Bayt has condemned him, but many.
Okay.
And he's like an independent person. He doesn't listen to whoever advises him. I would condemn, of course, whatever he goes to that level. Yeah.
Sheikh Arif, you on Yasir Habib.
Can I just make a few words?
Oh.
I'm talking too much. I'm so sorry.
You can brief.
I'm sorry,
I'm going to say certain things
Yes.
Because
that might not be welcomed by the Shias. I'm going to be very honest and truthful, yes? The Shias ulama need to go on their pulpit and teach the awam. They need to say that, look, first Khalifa historically was Abu Bakr, second Khalifa was Umar, third Khalifa was Uthman, fourth Khalifa was Ali ibn Abi Talib. Our belief is that Ali was the Imam, first Imam, yes? But historically, these are the four Khalifa. It's a historical fact.
Sorry, let me come quickly.
No,
and then you can-
can I just finish something?
Okay.
And then Azwaj al-Nabi, Surah Ahzab is saying they are your mothers.
Yeah.
That Lady Aisha, Surah An-Nur, absolves her of any crime or any sin. Allah has gone in His Surah and said, look, she's not guilty of any crime. Yes? And Surah Ahzab is saying, these are your mothers. On top of that, to say to the Awam that this is what Ali ibn Abi Talib's conduct was with the first three Khalifas, he also complained, but at the same time, this was his conduct.
Yes.
Al-Hassan's conduct was this, Al-Hussein's conduct was this, and one of the very renowned Imam was a grandson of the first Khalifa as well as the fourth Khalifa. These are historical facts, yes? They need to be given. Two, the problem that the ulama of the Shia need to solve is to say that, look, even the Abbasid Khulafa, yes, they might have done, historically, they might have killed the Imams, but at the same time, they also had a lot of contribution as well, yes, to the Muslim civilization. So these facts need to be given. The third thing is to teach that to be objective is our God-given right. We can say, look, I believe the first Khalifa did a mistake here. There's nothing wrong with saying that openly. Yes? Second Khalifa made a mistake here. The battle of Jamal, Lady Aisha should not have at all gone inside that battle. That's objectively, we can allow to say that. We don't have to mask things. Become very open, very, very truthful. I think this is a criticism that is against the Shia school of thought on the ulama, because the awam are guided by the ulama. But one of the things I find historically is that the imams of the Shia were in Taqiyya from the Shia themselves, according to Salatul Maghrib. There are 40 hadiths, Sahih hadiths saying Maghrib is at Ghurub, yes? And the Shia is praying 15 minutes after. And then the Imam is saying, I have to do Taqiyya for my followers. I think we have to understand things a bit clearly. As far as Ahlul Sunnah is concerned as well, I think Ahlul Sunnah should open up their mind.
Yes,
You know? We are responsible to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of Qiyamah. What were the first, second, third, fourth Khalifas? And if anybody after Allah is Muhammad Rasulullah, who will be standing there and say, well, they've actually left my Quran Hajran Mahjura, totally. And responding to your question, ban.
No,
You can't ban. If somebody holds a gun to my head, you say, Dr. Sam said ban Taqiyya, so I can't do Taqiyya. It's a natural human instinct. What we need to do is we need to explain it out properly.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Brother Idris Sharif, then Maulana Sajjad. Brother Idris Sharif.
Having listened to the debate today, I have a habit that I like to walk away from something with some clarity on what's been discussed and to bring things to a conclusion, hopefully. But in the spirit of the words that we used at the beginning, which were sincerity, which were openness, transparency, and we asked the question was asked at the beginning, how is it that we can have the intra-faith dialogue? And listening to the scholars today, it seems clear to me that we have a responsibility, the scholars have the responsibility to educate our congregations on both sides, so that we have so much in common, there isn't actually that much that we disagree on. But in the interest of promoting that intra-faith understanding, that we work together, that we build those bridges, and we have better understanding going forwards, then I think it's important on both sides that we have a clear message. From today, there are some clear messages that we can give so that we can have better transparency. And inshallah, I think that is the way forward, inshallah, because I can't see from what I've listened, there aren't that many areas whereby we are different here. We agree on a lot, but there is a responsibility here of communicating that back to our congregations.
So, thank you. Maulana Sajjad.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The ulamas and people around this table, they're the part of the solution. They're not part of the problem. So we need to reach those people who are part of the problem. And this kind of meetings brings so many benefits and clear the things. I'm talking to out of box this context. If you're going to school for a school teaching job, they ask you, will you show the respect for gays and lesbians? Will you teach your children to show respect for these peoples? What about Taqiyya in here?
How Taqiyya applies here.
I will say that there was this movement of chips, yes?
Yeah.
So we spoke with our Christian friends and we said, look, we have to object to this. And Dr. Ali Raza has said in his presentation to the university that we can't be in Taqiyya, we have to be clear that Islam promotes a particular type of lifestyle, which is a heterosexual lifestyle. Yes, a man and a woman. So we don't condone this, we have to be clear about this. this, yes? But that doesn't mean that we swear and curse at gays and lesbians because they don't know any better. According to their faith, they're not doing anything wrong. But according to the boundaries of our faith is promoting, Islam is clearly promoting a heterosexual family setup. So we can't do taqiyya in that, yes? So we have to somehow, as a Muslim community, find a way.
Should say respect,
Yeah,
not
we
promote.
we have to do respect, but if we are teachers,
Yes.
if we are teachers, respect is one thing, teaching it is another thing altogether, yes?
But as a teacher, you have to teach.
Yes.
وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. They are Bani Adam.
Yes.
Yeah, children of Adam.
No, but I think this is a serious issue. I think
Yeah, Maulana Sajjad is making a very good point actually.
Yes.
He's trying to ask us, he's challenging us. Okay, here we deal with such things, okay, yeah, in a manner outwardly which we may feel differently inwardly. I think this is what Maulana Sajjad is trying to say. He's not trying to raise the debate about homosexuality.
Yeah.
What does a teacher do?
Yes, no, he's suggesting, it seems to me he's suggesting that the teacher, okay, outwardly displays an attempt to treat that person as equally as possible. But he may have some reservations inside.
No, but what about teaching that gay relations are normal family setup?
Well, on this question, can I just give my personal experience? I remember when I was at school, when we were in biology, and the teacher was a firm Christian. He would be the one giving the Christian assemblies, and we had the topic of the evolution, Darwin's theory of evolution, and he made it clear at the beginning of the lesson that this is something I have to teach as part of my job. As a Christian, I do not believe this, and this is my belief. And he then gave the lesson. So that was a practical example of, where you can avoid taqiyya because you are clear, because you can then actually, with your conscience is clear, and you can say that this is my position, and however, because of my duty, because of my job, I have to fulfill this obligation.
Because if you practice taqiyya, that will be, your integrity will be at stake. One way it will be revealed that you are doing taqiyya and your integrity will be at stake.
But I think using the word taqiyya, we are wrong here.
Yeah.
We are not dealing with taqiyya when it comes to teaching, for example, homosexuality. Because taqiyya is I believe as a Muslim, when I deal with those people who will cause me dangers, then I have to conceal my iman. When it comes to homosexuality, why are we here in this country if we cannot contribute our ideas, our views, our perspectives? Yes, we may not agree with them, but we need to be true to what we say. If I can say, I hate you because you are a gay, that's wrong. I can't hate him. I may hate the actions, the attitude, and so on and so forth, but I need to be very clear to say, the way my brother
But
said.
it's your duty to teach children in school. That's a normal
If
thing.
if you become as a teacher, why did you choose to become a teacher? You must teach. Sincerity, is the very important thing. But of course, you may be very clear that, well, I don't agree because of my faith, but I have to teach you. The way, for example, how many Christian teachers teach Islam? They don't believe in Islam, but they teach professional.
Right. Ali Raza, then sister.
I think this is something which is a very, very interesting discussion we've led to, maybe some way unrelated to our main topic. But the ethics of teaching and the style of teaching in the UK is something which is moving and changing. And we shouldn't just be sheep. We should be here to contribute. Yes? Okay, so we'll see that the style of teaching at universities, at least in theory, okay, is the teacher distances himself from that which he's teaching. Yes? Okay, and he's saying this is this theory, this is this theory, this is this theory. I think we should advocate such approach in schools. Okay, the government policy is this. Human rights standards suggest everybody is equal. Qala, waqila, not aqulu. Yes? Okay, so I think here, this is something we should advocate, that the teaching in schools is non-dogmatic. Yeah, the teaching in schools isn't, tabligh. Okay, and as Muslims, we should advocate this, and contribute positively in this regard. Yeah? But on the question of on this debate we're having, the doctor raised, about the banning of Taqiyya and where's the resolution? Okay, so I was quite clear. For me, Taqiyya is Idtirar, but in the consciousness of Shia, it's taken on another level. Okay, how do we resolve? Okay, we say, look, whether it's Idtirar, whether it's Taqiyya. Okay, when there's darar, when there's Idtirar, we have these considerations. So if we are part of the solution, inshallah, our job is to remove the Idtirar, to remove the darar, to be part of a group of people who are removing the causes of the persecution. Okay, so now whether that's people from the side of the Shia educating in a manner Sheikh Arif was saying, or whether that's from the Ahl Sunnah, to say that, okay, even if we don't consider these people to be on the same truth as us, okay, we are happy to sit alongside a homosexual on a bus. Okay, why can't we respect somebody who calls himself a lover of Ahlul Bayt? So removal of the darar becomes the key to me, to moving towards practical solutions.
Sheikh Jafar, you responded with
Yeah.
contribute.
So, I think there is a problem with the Ummah itself, that we are the Ummah that we don't read, we don't like to read so much, we don't like to do research so much, we don't know each other so much, we've been living together for centuries, but we don't know much. So if someone who really intend to make fitna among us, it is easy for him to get, fitna going on because we don't read. So Shias, they have been blamed of doing Taqiyya all the time, but we fail to understand that we fail to know about them. Our ulama told us that we shouldn't even read their books, we shouldn't even go and pray behind them, we shouldn't even go in and pray in their masjid, in the masajid lillah, but now it's become masjid of Sunni and masjid of Shia and kind of thing. This is our own problems. So, as I said before, that before blaming the Shias, I think there's a ghulu from both sides. Our Sunni brothers, they have ghulu with Sahaba, a lot of ghulu if you read their books. And the Shia, they have a lot of ghulu, most of them in Imams. Like Shaykh, he said, the Shia ulama should educate the awam of the Shia, which is true. The awam, they have a lot of ghulu, so extreme what they believe about Imams. And the Sunni brothers so ghulu on the Sahabas in such a way that if you blame Sahaba, you get a big problem. But if you say something bad about the Prophet, it's no problem for you. A Prophet has been said things about him, that he has been bewitched. There's a lot of riwayah of hadith that the whole Prophet is mashur, until when he thought that he is doing things that he doesn't do it. I think he thought that he was still sleeping with his wife. For example, just to give an example.
New field. We have to respond then.
But if you say about Sahaba something which is true,
confine yourself to the topic,
Yeah.
because if you open new fields and we keep silent, this is not right.
Is that full of Taqiyya?
Confine yourself to the topic.
Because these
As
two
let
are
me-
so wide of
Okay. Is
If
that
you
full of
open
Taqiyya?
new
Time
fields,
is short.
we cannot
When you say,
Sheikh,
just when you say there is a ghuluv on Sahaba type, this is, we accept it.
Yeah.
There is a ghuluv, and that's why, so when you say anything against Sahaba, you are seriously in trouble or maybe killed. When you say Ahl Sunnah, this is not the position, by a particular sect. Rest of the people, they are ready to listen to you.
Yeah.
And if you put your argument forward, by the way, we're going to discuss all these things on the institution of Sahaba, institution of Ahlul Bayt, as we have discussed today, the same topic, Taqiyya. They're
So
awaiting,
I-
because
this is why I
there
came
are
to this point,
responses. And as you mentioned about as-suhur, this is something which is rejected by the great number of mufassirun as well. So that's why when you talk about generally, and this is the same for Ahl Sunnah as well, when you're talking about, for example, in the name of the Taqiyya, about the Shia school of thought, you have to be careful, because when you say Shia, this is not just like Tablighi Jamaat, Jamaat Islami, or Ikhwanul Muslimun. This is like Ahl Sunnat wal Jamaat, uncountable groups. They are uncountable. When you quote anything particular about Ahl Sunnah, And you have to be careful, because same thing definitely is rejected by the majority of the other scholars, the same view. So this is the position. Here we're going to discuss in detail. Sister is waiting for a long time. Sorry for.
I just had a couple of things to say. Right at the beginning, when Sheikh was talking about if we hide our Aqidah, when we say that, for example, if a Shia says to you, oh no, I love the Sahaba, it's difficult to believe them. And I feel like he was equating our Aqidah to having a certain dislike to the Sahaba. I was born a Ja'fari, I am a Ja'fari, and I was never brought up with the mentality, or I wasn't aware that our Aqidah involves having a certain attitude towards the Sahaba. I don't know if I'm wrong, but so for example, Sheikh, when you answered that, you said that obviously we can't hide our Aqidah in Taqiyya, but there was no mention of, for example, how this relates to having a certain attitude towards the Sahaba. And I feel like this is like Sheikh, this comes in where Sheikh Arif was saying that we need to be educated. There's a misconception that, for example, the Ahl Sunnah believe that it's part of our Aqidah that we have a dislike for the Sahaba, but this isn't true. Like when I last summer I had this incident where I was trying to tell a Sunni sister that I promise you I do not have a dislike for the Sahaba, and they didn't believe me no matter what I did. But that's because they believe that it's part of my religion, like it's wajib on me to dislike them. But I don't think.
And you were doing taqiyya at that time.
But I wasn't. So I think this is. But I don't think this is their fault. I think this is like Sheikh Arif saying. I think this is our fault because we like for some reason the Ahl Sunnah have this misconception that it's part of our Aqidah to have a dislike, but it's not. People like Yasser al-Habib are extremists. He's not. There isn't one community that I'm aware of, Shia Sunni, anybody who has ever agreed with this man. People left, right, and center hate him, and he is creating problems, and nobody takes him seriously. So keeping him aside, of course. Why do the Ahl Sunnah feel like it is either their people, either their ulama are telling the people that, hey, you know what, this is part of the Shia's belief, or we are giving out that impression that it is part of our belief to dislike the Sahaba. I have never in my life cursed them, disliked them, had an issue with them. I mean, history, if they've done something wrong, they've done it, and if they've not, they've not.